I've just come from one of the things I love to do most, which is talking about my business. I've come from a meeting with my brand new Melbourne-based business banking specialist. Now, I have no formal affiliation whatsoever with the ANZ Bank. It's just who I've always borrowed and worked with for my business journey. And I've always had one of their business banking specialists working alongside me from the very minute I first opened my doors as a small business owner back in the dark ages. I had in Hobart, I had Colin working with me as my small business banking specialist. He worked with me tirelessly for very, very, very long time until he retired recently after I'd moved to Melbourne. The work that he did with me was so important and so helpful to my growth as a business owner, but also the growth of my business. He helped me understand the relationship between banking and finance and small business ownership and all of the ways that we need to protect ourselves as business owners financially and structure things in such a way that it's viable, sustainable, and can live and breathe to meet your future goals. I don't know that Colin would know that that's what he did for me, but that's exactly what my conversations with him resulted in. I've also had a specialist business accountant. My accountant Jonathan has worked with me for a very, very long time, and I'm very lucky in that Jonathan's a much more than a compliance accountant. He's a director of the organisation for the accounting firm that he works with. He's an accredited auditor. He's a registered business broker. He knows everything there is to know about small business and how to support small business owners. So between the two, Colin, my original small business banking specialist, and Jonathan, my specialist accountant. Between the two of them over the years, I have felt so wrapped in support, in understanding my financial needs as a business owner. And I've also been very fortunate that they have always understood, worked hard to understand my future vision and helped me work towards meeting those goals. Now, the meeting I've just come from here in Melbourne is with my brand new Melbourne business banking specialist. Why am I finding it so hard to say that today? My Melbourne-based business banking specialist. So Colin retired, which was timely for me because I would have felt terrible saying I have to replace you now that I'm living in Melbourne. And my new business banking specialist is a woman, Abby. She's fantastic, and she completely understands where I'm coming from with my business goals, where I've come from with my business journey, and where I'm heading. She's as excited as I am about the potential for continued growth in my business, or my businesses really, and eager to work alongside me in making those visions come to life. So it's not just about borrowing money. This is something that I think a lot of business owners don't understand about the relationship with their bank. It's not just about money going in. It's not just about money coming out. It's not just about borrowing money. When you have a small business banking specialist working with you, they walk the walk with you to an extent as much as you let them in. So if you regularly meet with your business banking specialist, now regularly might be a couple of times a year. Some years it might be more than that. I'm actually going to see Abby again next month, at the end of next month, because we've got a few irons in the fire at the moment. And she and I are going to work closely on looking at restructuring my banking. It's been a little while since I've had that conversation. We're going to look at things like what are my future needs and what's the best way to achieve those. Really simple example, the car I'm sitting in right now was purchased under my business And I more than likely at some point will send this car back to Tasmania for my team who do rural outreach work. It's financially a better thing to have them using company-owned vehicle than to be paying mileage for them to use their own vehicles for rural outreach work, which means, of course, I'll need a new car. Now, there's no rush on that. That's not a current plan, but at some stage that conversation will need to happen. And Abby flagged that with me this morning. When you feel you need a new car, make sure you talk to me first, meaning her, because the the interest rates that they can offer, structuring things under the business, all of that stuff, those conversations are really sensible. My normal strategy would be, ooh, there's a shiny car, I want that one, and I'll just lazily talk to the finance person in the car yard. Don't be doing that. Don't let me do that. Find your business banking specialist and get them into your story. Get them involved. Now, I mentioned the ANZ because I do know they have a business banking specialist division. They have all these divisions. They have business, what do they call them? Business banking managers. So like another level up. They have relationships managers, who are the people who deal with banking arrangements more than $1 million. Don't worry, I don't need that. Not yet anyway. So have a think about the accounting that you're using. Is it just basic compliance accounting, or is it actually somebody who's sharing your vision and helping you bring it to life? I remember conversations with my accountant that went back years now, talking about my vision for heading to Melbourne, what I thought things would look like when I got here business-wise, what needed to happen with my Tasmanian businesses, and so on and so forth. Now, those conversations, I still have a very clear visual memory of the mapping out that we did on his whiteboard, mapping out that future trajectory. Now, the end result was slightly different. I ended up selling the Hobart practice, as you know, and then, pardon me, opened up a Melbourne location here at Crawley House. Now, those two things weren't on that original vision map that we created together. That's not the important point of the story. The important point of the story is that my accountant sat with me and we mapped out a vision. We were clear on the things that needed to change at that time to make any of those potential outcomes even anywhere near possible. The things that I needed to do to set my business up to have more future flexibility and freedom, with the idea that I was going to be relocating to Melbourne. So a tax compliance accountant isn't necessarily, unless they're very special out of the box one, isn't necessarily going to have the experience and expertise to help you with those kinds of visions. So, you know, it's like if you want your garden to be landscaped beautifully and to help you sell your house, you're not going to ask the person who sells the flowers at the supermarket for advice on landscaping your garden. You're going to go and find a gardening specialist, right? It's the same with your banking. It's the same with your accounting. I would also argue the third peg is your insurance needs. I have a wonderful insurance broker, Greg, who has worked with me also from the beginning of my business. So I want you thinking about who is the specialist team that you need to help you as a business owner. You can't know all the answers. Abby is sending me a business plan template to have a look at. Not that I need one right now, but I'm always curious to look at these sorts of things and see what's on them. And she said to me something really interesting. She said, you know, people always freak out when they're asked to fill in a business plan, especially the financials. And she said, I always say, don't do that yourself. Get your accountant to do that with you or for you. I would get my accountant to do it for me. And it got me thinking about, you know, when you're early in your business. I still remember being given a business plan template when I just started in business, and I didn't fill it in because it terrified me, because I didn't know the answers to most of the questions. What was my cash flow forecast? I don't know. I didn't even know how to generate one. What were my expenses? I don't know. I've just opened my doors. You know, I didn't know the answers to all the questions. fast forward to now, and I would, as an academic exercise, if I had the time, I would love to sit down and play around with Abby's business plan template, because I know so much more than I did at the beginning. It would be a fun thing to do for me now, to go, oh, look at that. I know how to do a cash flow forecast. I know how to look at what my expenses are. I know how to look at the difference between my cash flow capacity and my cash flow actuality. And that gives me insights into what I need to change, for example. So number one, don't expect that you have to know all the answers right now. Number two, don't settle for business advisors, in inverted commas, who are like the flower seller at Coles. They're not the specialist. So the person over the counter at your little local bank branch may not be the person you need to speak to. You need to speak to someone who's got the specialist knowledge of banking, because it's not just about what you do with your money, it's also about the products that they have to offer you. Did you know, for example, I didn't. I just found this out, so now I sound really clever. Did you know that commercial property purchases historically have required a 30% deposit? The ANZ now only requires a 20% deposit. And what I mean by that is they'll lend you 80% of commercial property. They used to only allow loans of up to 70%. Their products change over time. This is true of all banks, not just ANZ. They all have their own products. And you need someone who's in the know with what's available so that you can start mapping out what's doable. Same with your accounting, same with your insurances. All of these things need someone with the expert eye to have a look at them once in a while. Usually on my birthday, the very first phone call I get of the day is from my insurance broker, wishing me a happy birthday and reminding me we need to review our insurances. Romantic? No. Cute? Yes. I'll miss it when he doesn't do it anymore. Alrighty, that's probably enough. I posted a little photo before my meeting. I posted a little photo on Instagram stories about how I was about to have a meeting with my new banking specialist and how excited I was, and how I always come away from these meetings inspired, and this was no different. I always come away from meetings with my accountant or my business banking person feeling inspired for the future, and I really want that for you too. And I really want you to feel supported in your business ownership journey. So you need to look at where you need your pockets of specialist support. Make sure you find those people. It's okay to ask at your local branch of your bank, do they have business banking specialists, and how do you make an appointment to see one? It's okay to ask your accountant, are you what would be called a tax compliance accountant, or are you a business advisor, business broker? Do you have all of those big picture vision capacities? If not, can you recommend somebody who does that for me? It's okay. As mental health professionals in my profession, I would not expect to be able to treat all things that come to my door. If a client comes in to see me and it turns out that they're really suffering with something that's not in my area of expertise, say dementia, that's not an area I work in, then I would have no hesitation in finding the right person, the specialist in inverted commas in my profession, for them to work with. And I wouldn't take it personally. Neither will your accountant. So please have those conversations, find the supports you need, and jump onto those. Get yourself supported. You're a business owner. You don't have all the answers. You never need to have all the answers. You need to have the support to get the answers. Have a fabulous day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.